Hello, my name's Brittany and I'm an admissions representative with Kansas State University Online. And I want to start by thanking everyone for joining us tonight to learn more about our online personal financial planning doctoral program. I'm joined by Tiara Diamond and Dr. Martin C., who are going to spend roughly the next 30 minutes or so giving us a presentation about this program, and then we'll spend the last 10 to 15 minutes answering questions. Throughout the duration of this presentation, we will be monitoring the chat feature and answering questions as they're being asked. Some of your questions may be saved until the end for Tiara and Dr. C to answer. If you could now please take a few seconds to locate the chat feature and answer the question you see on your screen, as we would love to learn a little bit more about you. I'll give you a minute to do so now. As those chats start coming in, I also wanted to let you know that we will be sharing a recording of this presentation following the webinar. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Tiara and Dr. C.
Thanks, Brittany, and welcome to this webinar. Thanks for joining us a little bit late in the evening. It's 8 o'clock Central Time right now, so I appreciate you sharing your evening with us and your interest in the PhD program. My name is Martin C. I am the Department Head of Personal Financial Planning here at K-State. I am from Georgia. Somehow I found my way to Kansas, been here 10 years. It's been fun so far. And I am going to talk to you a little bit about sort of the academic side of the PhD program, what we're looking for. And then Tiara Diamond is here. She is the fantastic program coordinator extraordinaire. And she is absolutely the right person to help answer any of the questions you might have related to application process, timing, course sequences. She is the person that helps you get in the program, that helps make sure on a semester by semester basis you're doing the right coursework, and then will be your friend in finalizing the paperwork to get graduated, which of course is the most important part. So before we get into the PhD program itself, I did want to talk a little bit about how we view financial planning as a profession. A lot of people try to think about the perfect profession. And for those people, we generally try to find folks that, when you think about the perfect profession, generally people try to think about, yeah, the perfect profession would be one where I can help people, where I can impact the community. Another part would be, hey, there's the potential for high income. And oh yeah, it'd be great if there was also high flexibility and also lots of opportunity. And as many of you may know, for the most part, this is what financial planning as a career path offers. It's a really high demand profession that's really driven to help clients meet their financial goals, actually their life goals, through aligning their finances with that. But when it's related to the PhD program, really we're looking at sort of maybe 2 or 3 more things that you might be interested in. So, okay, you like financial planning, but maybe you have a passion for educating the next generation of financial planners, or maybe you want to get into research so you can help practitioners be better at their job. If those 2 additional things speak out to you, then the PhD may be the right thing for you. So a little bit, I'm sorry to go back to a definition. I'm an academic, right? You've got to have at least one definition in any presentation. This is the definition of financial planning as provided by the CFP board, and a couple of things that's important, and I think really relates to sort of K-State's take on financial planning and the research that we do. So financial planning, their definition is a collaborative process that maximizes a client's potential for meeting life goals through financial advice that integrates relevant elements of a client's personal and financial circumstances. What the words that stick out to me are the idea of it's a collaborative process, working hand in hand with the client. You see that in a lot of our work and a lot of our research that has to deal with understanding client psychology, understanding where they come from, how their perceptions around money were formed, and how you move them forward in making a decision. And then it's about maximizing a client's potential for meeting life goals. Our program doesn't focus so much on necessarily the optimal outcome. In some ways, that's math, finding the right retirement withdrawal, things like that. We tend to focus on the strategies and engagement and how to get people to actually follow through, as well as help them understand how to achieve well-being as opposed to necessarily just a financial outcome. And then, of course, it's all about the financial advice that is unique to that client's scenario. So financial planning, as many of you may be well aware, is really a mixture of everything related to personal finance. It is, I think of financial planning as a pie, and within each slice of pie, there's investments, so helping money grow, retirement, understanding the amount of money that you have to have and how you can manage it in retirement. There's income tax planning, trying to make sure that you are being as efficient as possible and paying all the tax you're legally required to, but then not a dollar over. Then we have estate planning for the transfer of assets. We have making sure a client and a family is taken care of if they were to become disabled or can't make decisions for themselves, and then insurance planning. And it's really that integration of that together. And our belief is that really financial planning is really about putting a puzzle together. It starts with a conversation with a client to help understand what their dream is. And so each client is going to have a different puzzle that they're trying to build. And it's only through that discovery process that you can understand what their dream is. And then your job as a financial planner is to identify those pieces that you need to have and where they need to go in order to make that unique picture that the client wants to achieve. And we would say financial planning is as much about lifestyle design as it is about getting that optimal recommendation. One of the things that we talk about is financial planning is aligning an individual's financial resources and time and energy resources in a way that maximizes their well-being. And at a base level, a financial planner gives clients the organization to understand their financial scenario, the confidence to act in a way that aligns with their goals, and then holds them accountable over various market cycles, over various periods of time that they follow through with that. So I wanted to start real quick, just give you a general framing about how we think about financial planning here at Department of Financial Planning at K-State. But now we're going to dive really into the PhD program. Did want to highlight, we actually have 5 graduate programs. We have a financial therapy graduate certificate. Financial therapy, really I view that as a mixture between behavioral finance, marriage and family therapy, and psychology. So maybe what you traditionally think about behavioral finance, but with a marriage and family therapy twist. We have the Personal Financial Planning Graduate Certificate, which is designed to help students meet the education requirement for the CFP exam. The Advanced Financial Planning Graduate Certificate, which is new, which is advanced technical content beyond that required for the CFP exam. That's an advanced estate class, advanced retirement, advanced tax, and then a practice management class. And then you can pick 2 of those and wrap those up into a master's degree based off of your desire. And then, of course, the program we're really here to talk about today is the doctoral degree in personal financial planning. I do want to note, if you don't have a master's degree or you don't have a CFP, you will have to take some of this master's coursework as a part of that PhD program. If you're coming in with a master's degree and the CFP, then you may be able to transfer in credits. And here we'll talk to you a little bit about that later on in this conversation. So is the PhD right for you? So the way the things that might jump out as indicating that the PhD is right for you, have you ever wondered why clients do what they do? The right recommendation, you've told them the right recommendation, people know what the right decisions are and they don't do it. Have you ever wondered why Americans seem to struggle so much with their finances? Do you want to teach? Is your passion to get in front of individuals and help share what financial planning could be in the future? Or do you really want to conduct research? You're one of those that really enjoys reading and understanding and you want to gain the skills and tech and training to be able to conduct research at a high level to inform how financial planning should be practiced. If you're answering yes to those questions, then I think you're along the right lines for not only a PhD, but really the PhD program as it's been designed at K-State. So it's really important. A PhD is a research degree. For the most part, the coursework that you're going to take in the PhD program is focused on developing the skills necessary to conduct and understand research into client behavior. Okay, so if you're trying to get additional financial planning expertise as a practitioner, really those master's level programs are for you. But if you're trying to add an understanding of how to conduct or translate research into practice, then the PhD program may make sense. You know, the other word that I said there that I want to highlight again is our program is really focused on understanding client behavior and how to drive a client to action or to understanding well-being. It's really the decision-making process. We do not focus, once again, on optimal retirement withdrawal rates, optimal portfolio construction, things like that. That is just simply not what we're geared to do in this program. So the skills that you gain in this program can be used to become a researcher or an academic. It can be used in practice with clients, or can be used to drive a firm's best practice behavior. So we celebrated our 10-year anniversary about 2 years ago. We had 38 graduates, 19 were academics, and 19 were in practice in some shape or form. We've tended a little bit more towards academics than the last couple years. But that balance I share with you because we appreciate all of that. We've placed graduates at top programs in the field. We've placed graduates who want to focus on teaching at universities where they teach full-time. We have a number of individuals that own their own firms that have translated the research into their work with clients. And then increasingly, we have individuals that are at larger firms, maybe in charge of financial planning for that large firm, or instilling and training best practices. And there's an increasing demand for being able to understand and apply research and helping make financial planners better. So there's huge demand among universities for individuals to teach financial planning content. This area is just continuing to bloom. So that is the positive. And one of the questions that we do often get asked is how much time will I need to commit to the PhD program a week? So the reality that we say is our program is part-time in that you take less classes, but not that those classes are any easier. And I'm a graduate from the University of Georgia's financial planning program. I personally believe that the training that we offer our students is better than the training I got at the University of Georgia. It's just customized to be delivered through this hybrid format. So you should be thinking on average, if for most semesters you're required to take one class, there's one semester you're required to take two. But if you want to move through in a timely manner, you're going to have to juggle a couple classes, a couple of different semesters. For each class, generally speaking, you're talking 10 to 12, 10 to 15 hours a week. It doesn't always come smoothly. Some weeks you'll have less, some weeks you'll have more, but be thinking about that. So what does the actual coursework look like? So when you think about the PhD coursework, really those first three bullet items is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time. So the first is methods. So how do you design and conduct a quality study? One of the sayings that I use with my students quite often is crap in, crap out. If you design a study in a poor way and you don't have the ability to test or investigate what it is, you wasted your time. So the first thing is, how do you design a study in a way where you can investigate the question that you want in a consistent and reliable way? The second is related to theory, and theory is used to understand and to provide insight into how people make decisions, how people should act, and how do we change behavior. So we view theory as providing a lens through which research is conducted. It's used to inform hypotheses within our experiments and tests, and really provides a grounding for all the work that we do. We tend to focus a little bit of economics, a lot of behavioral economics theory, a little bit of behavior change psychology theory at its core. But then there's all sorts of specializations as students find their areas of interest that they may find a theory that speaks to them more directly. But methods tells you how to do a study. Theory helps you inform what you expect, how you would expect people to act. So statistics, so that's great. You've designed a study using strong methods, and you've had a strong theory to inform the questions that you ask and what's there. And then you have to have a grounding of statistics. And I see a question in the chat related to this. So we highly suggest you have a single graduate level statistics course. If you haven't had that, you can take that over the summer before our courses start. That wouldn't count towards your degree, but would provide you that background that you need to help prepare you. We do largely then teach statistics from scratch, and we teach it in a very applied manner. So unlike most programs across the country, all of your statistics classes, well, not all, the majority of your statistics classes are going to be taught by financial planning professors using actual data sets that are being published in the financial planning literature. We currently, if you go through our program, you would learn how to use the FINRA's National Financial Capability Study, the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, and then a study out of Michigan that is the Health and Retirement Study. And those three data sets have made careers. So you are really doing it focused in a way. You're not using dummy data sets, just testing to test. You're learning statistics in an applied manner on data sets that will allow you really at the end of your first year to do analyses on questions that might matter to you. So that's great that we have that coursework. I've heard a number of our students say our special sauce is the research clusters. So these research clusters, everybody's required to take 2. Some people take more. Our experiences where you'll be in small groups with faculty and completing actual research projects. Our belief is that by the time you get to a dissertation, it's better if you've seen a project from beginning to end a couple of times, so you're not reinventing the wheel. The other thing is when you go to your comprehensive exams, which you have to take after you finish your coursework, you've got a better idea of how methods, theory, and statistics interact. So you can be a better informed, more knowledgeable, well-rounded researcher. So all students will take at least 2 research clusters. They get to choose. There's different faculty that specialize in different areas. So for example, Dr. Derek Lawson is a statistics guru, and he does his research clusters on structural equation modeling and how to design complex studies when you're dealing with complex relationships. Dr. Megan McCoy, who's fantastic. Her background is she's in marriage and family therapy. She does really good applied research clusters that are focused on understanding relationships and money. Dr. Lim, Dr. Heckman tend to be a little bit more economics based. They don't get as much into the feelings as, let's say, McCoy, or personality as McCoy. I do personality research myself, but they tend to be more like Dr. Heckman does work on how students make student loan decisions and things like that. So you can mix and match to align with your preferences, as well as to get to work with a variety of different professors. And then the other thing that I always like to mention is we do have a capstone experience. That's an international trip. Historically, we've gone to China, we've gone to South Korea, we've gone to the Netherlands / Belgium. These are really fantastic trips. You go the summer of your 4th year. Admittedly, we're a little bit on pause with this in the current environment, but want to put on your radar that we do that. And honestly, they're amazing trips. I've been to all three of those locations, and it's amazing to see how different laws, different regulations, different cultural norms create very different, but also very similar financial planning environments. And you come back with a much better understanding of the regulation of financial planning, the policy around financial planning, and how those influence how financial planning is practiced on a day-to-day basis across the U.S. Vanessa, I see your question. Generally speaking, they're 10-day trips, and that's inclusive of travel. So normally day 1 is a travel day, day 10 is a travel day back. So it's 8-ish days on site. I will share this last summer we canceled. This summer we're going to do a U.S. trip. We're going to go out to LA, and we've got some good connections there. We'll be able to get into a variety of different firms until COVID calms down, and we don't have to worry about potential international quarantines and things like that. So I thought it'd be helpful if I gave you a couple of different dissertation titles. These are all my students, so there may be some bias in them, but there is a little bit of randomness there, but just thought it might be helpful. So this first one is Dr. Sherry Stevie. She was interested in understanding, she has a background as a financial counselor and wanted to, and financial coach, and wanted to understand how consumers view financial therapists versus financial counselors versus financial coaches versus financial planner. And so she did a qualitative study. Generally speaking, we train quantitatively, but if you really want to do qualitative, we can find a path for you there, where she interviewed individuals and tried to understand how they formed different influences. The second, 3 essays on relationships between emotions and financial resources. This one was interesting because it was done by a CFA. So the analytical-minded Dr. Shane Nanette, who is a professor out at Biola University, actually out in the LA-ish area, and he tried to understand how emotions led to resilience in financial resources. The next one is by Dr. Miranda Ryder, who is now a professor at Texas Tech. And she was interested in understanding racial and gender preferences when hiring a financial planner. And specifically, she set up an experiment to try to understand and see if there were biases and whether an individual would hire a planner based off of their race or their gender. Next, impact of socio-emotional wealth on household net worth. And wow, that's a really long title there, Tiara, but subject to quality of life in a family farm business. This was Dr. Lloyd. Oh man, I'm losing Lloyd's last name.
Zimmerman, yeah. Zimmerman.
Lloyd Zimmerman. He is currently out in Western Kansas. It was a farm family. As you know, transitions, family dynamics among farms is complicated. And so he wanted to understand quality of life in farm business. And he also investigated how that related to family transition. This one, mortgage debt and retirement transition decisions. This was nearest and dearest to my background. This is Dr. Summer Anderson, who is at Maryville University. And she was trying to figure out how mortgage holding was related with retirement decisions. That is it smarter to pay off a mortgage, to carry it, and how that related to retirement delay decisions, and specifically within the context of very low interest rates where there can be financial incentives to hold a mortgage rather than pay it off. So this one, 3 essays on personality characteristics and financial satisfaction. This was Dr. Derek Tharp, who's now at Southern Maine and is a contributing writer on kitsis.com, so you may have come across him. He wanted to understand how personality characteristics were related to financial satisfaction. He did it really cool. He did a state-by-state analysis, he did an individual analysis, and then he did it just looking at people that were financially strained. How did personality characteristics lead to financial satisfaction? The next one, financial stress on health, morale, and social functioning. There's a lot of health and wealth combinations that students tend to be interested in. And this was, oh man, I'm forgetting them now, Tiara. It's been so long. Dr. Dennis Witherspoon. The next one, 3 essays on financial self-efficacy, beliefs, and savings behavior of older pre-retirees. This is Dr. Sarah Acevedo, who's out at Texas Tech University now. This is a fantastic dissertation, understanding how self-efficacy beliefs or self-confidence is related to actually taking control and creating savings among older pre-retirees, and how a planner can build that confidence in its clients to help promote that savings behavior. Next one is Dr. Ed Horwitz, who is out at Creighton University. 3 essays on the effectiveness of financial education in the workplace. There's lots of conversations about the effectiveness of financial education, and his dissertation focused on financial education delivered in the workspace. 4 more that I'll talk you through. I see there's a couple questions in the chat I'll circle to as soon as I finish talking through these. Behavioral economics and the impact of message framing. This is Dr. Timothy Todd. He is out at Liberty University. He was a little bit unique in that he's a CFP, CPA, JD, all sorts of crazy stuff. Really, really smart guy. And he wanted to understand how the delivery of advice was related to whether they took it, and how that might vary between domains. That is there a better way to get clients to follow through on advice in a, let's say, an insurance protective type domain than in a, hey, you need to save for tomorrow type domain? Really smart dissertation there. Household risk preference and home ownership decisions among young adults in changing market conditions. The thought process here was, hey, there's been a lot of volatility in the housing market, and some people have seen house prices rise and fall. Has it started to be viewed as a risky investment / are people more hesitant to invest in it based off the risk tolerance? And we found no results there, but it was a pretty cool idea to look at it. And that is Dr. Vincent Lee. 3 essays on personal financial difficulties of military members, and I see we have a retired military professional here. We've had quite a few military folks come through. Early on, it was a lot of retired pilots. I don't think we've had pilots lately, but he was very interested in understanding personal financial difficulties as a critical component of mission readiness. And there's a lot of problem with I'm going to say attrition, that's not the right word, but of military members who can't keep their finances in order and can't be deployed because of that. And his study was understanding how to facilitate that. And the last one, 3 essays of personality and net worth, is Dr. George Namashima out in Hawaii, who really was interested in understanding how personality, specifically the big 5 personality characteristics, could promote savings behavior and net worth over the long haul. So that's a little bit of a scattering, but I wanted to provide you a little bit of insight into some of the dissertations that we've seen. These are just my students, so you're probably going to see a little bit more personality there than you're going to see with other folks, but thought that might be that might be helpful to see what's out there. So I'm going to look at the questions really quick. So Richard, I'll start with you. There's 2 different dissertation models. One is a single dissertation. One is a 3-paper dissertation. I myself did a single paper dissertation with students. I've probably ended up with 70% 3-paper models. That's a conversation for you to have with your major professor as you move forward. The good news is if you do a 3-paper model, you're able to publish a lot really quickly. But depending on your question, that may not be it. It's really, do you have one question that's deep, or do you have 3 questions that are related and in a thematic sequence, and that will decide which is appropriate for you. And then Frederick, I think there's a place for that here. So understanding the potential consequences of not planning for your finances. I think there may be a parallel between that behavioral economics and the impact of message framing. That is, how do you appropriately scare people straight is part of the motive that was in that dissertation. So there may be some parallel to what the thoughts that you're sharing there. So I always get these questions, and so I thought I'd be transparent. This is my unofficial list that I came up with as I was preparing for this. I always get the question, so how do faculty make decisions? These are questions, not all inclusive, but questions that flow through my mind as I'm evaluating applicants. So the first is want some measure of program fit. Is what you're interested in something that we as a faculty can support? If you're interested in things that we can't support, it's not really fair to you for you to be here. We're going to be ill-equipped for that to happen. We do not necessarily need you to match perfectly with the faculty's expertise. As you saw with my students, I've supported students with a lot of different areas, but it does need to be a type of research question that we can support. Second, the way that we look at this, each cohort will accept between 6 and 8 students, which is limited spots for a little bit of framing. So I think we have 21 potential applicants here. So we do have to make sure that we're making a good use of those spots, that people do have a use for the PhD and that it will carry it forward. We don't judge necessarily on what that use is. Like I said, we have lots of folks that are practitioners, lots of folks that want to be researchers. We love them all, but we do want to see that the PhD will be put to some use given limited spots and limited resources. Reading and I sort of said writing. So I guess I failed my own quiz right there. But do candidates demonstrate strong writing and analytical skills? 90% of what we do is writing, and you need to be able to tell a story in a clear and consistent way. Fourth, quite honestly, is we're going to spend a heck of a lot of time with you. And so we want evidence on, are you going to be good to work with? Do you communicate in a professional way? Do you write in a professional way? Do you exhibit that you're going to have the self-motivation to succeed? And what is a marathon, right? It's a 3.5 to 4.5 year program. And we're looking for folks that we believe we are absolutely here to help in any way possible, but also those that will have the self-motivation and the professionalism to carry themselves well and move through the process in an appropriate manner. And then lastly, is do students understand the time commitment and do they have the schedules to complete program activities? As I shared, there is significant time commitments here. The reality is the more you put in, the more you get out. And we're not asking you to lose nights, all nights and weekends on this, but you do have to be able to consistently carve it out in your schedule to succeed. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tiara, but Brian, I will say the best place is the K-State website. You can go to the there's a page on each faculty member, and most of us have CVs attached to that. And that's the best way to figure out what we've been publishing. Tiara?
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Tiara and I'm the graduate program coordinator and advisor throughout the program. So a lot of people, when I talk to them on the phone, will say, why K-State? And honestly, our faculty is one of the main reasons why our program is so awesome. They are completely dedicated to the PhD students. A lot of people wonder how that works with a hybrid program and students not being on campus. And it actually works very, very well. Our faculty are completely supportive. We are reachable. I am here to help, with any kind of questions. Our faculty are extremely well known throughout the nation. And it's a fabulous program. Our faculty, last time I checked at least, our faculty and our students published really more than any of the other programs that offer PhDs. So it's really a pride point for us. And it's something that we're just really committed to being a very top program. So student support is here, even though students are away. I'm the main contact, so email, phone, really any way that I can help you feel connected, I will do that. And the faculty are the same. Early on in the program, you will not have a major professor, but as you move through the program, you'll be assigned a major professor. And then that person is then also a point of contact for you. But all of the faculty are definitely readily available to meet over Zoom, have phone conversations, email, whatever it may be. Students do move through the program in a cohort, like he mentioned before. This is an extremely important part of our program. We have actually found that the cohorts are more, they grow closer together than probably if they were actually on campus. So they usually meet once a week, checking in with each other, making sure everybody is doing okay in the coursework. They're huge supports to one another. They're going through it together, the struggles and the triumphs. So the cohort approach to this program is really, really awesome. We do have students from all over the states, and we have students from other countries as well in our program. The classes are all 16-week courses. This is a little bit different if you heard about our other graduate programs. Our master's and certificate program courses are all 8 weeks in length, but the PhD program, 16-week full semester courses. And there are live Zoom sessions held once a week, and they are mandatory for the PhD program. So as Dr. C mentioned earlier, you can go to our program page. He's going to show that here in a little bit, but you can check out their CVs for more information on just all of the different types of research they conduct and where they've been published and the topics that they're interested in. And that's the website that's listed on the slide where you can see that information. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is just a little video that one of our first year cohorts made as one of their projects. And I just think it's interesting. So we're gonna go ahead and play that for you guys so you can see it's kind of a little bit of humor, but it just also gives you a good idea of, it's a serious academic program, but we also really enjoy building their relationships with our students as well. You might need to turn it up, Dr. C, over there, I see. Never mind. So this is a kind of drink that one of our local favorite places offers. Okay, thanks for showing the video. So another reason why I like to show that is because one of the questions I get asked frequently is, I'm 45, I'm 50, I'm 55, I'm 35. I don't feel like I'm fitting the demographic, and that couldn't be further from the truth. I would say that the average age is definitely, well into their careers. And definitely, closer to middle age than on the younger side. We do have a few younger students, but that's not typically the path for this program. It can be, but it's not the norm, I would say. So how does the program work? So as we mentioned, it's ran in cohorts. Fall and spring semester coursework is online, and we do have a 2-week on-campus summer intensive that is mandatory for the first 3 years. And that is when the video was made. And so that's when you really come together with your cohort and get to know them really well, work together. The on-campus summer intensive can be as expensive or as inexpensive as you would like. We have hotels close by that some folks pick. We also have dorms or scholarship houses or non-traditional housing that are the less expensive of those options. And it's just anywhere in between. Some years we have cohorts that will rent Airbnbs and they all stay there together. So it is usually, it's not a full 2 weeks, but it's close to that. Again, full semester courses. It is a 90 credit hour program, and the K-State Grad School will allow 30 credits to transfer in. We do have a lot of questions about what will transfer in, and we do have a very specific program in terms of coursework that we require and that we will transfer in. And so you probably will have questions about that. It's best just to send me an email and kind of let me know what your situation is, and then I can kind of give you a better answer from there. But we do allow 30 credits. Say you have an MBA and you're a CFP, those 30 credits would transfer in, leaving 60 left to take. The deadline to apply to the program is December 1st, and the start date is always the following summer. Some students do complete the degree in 3.5 years, but most complete in 4 to 4.5 years. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the current tuition is right around $2,100 for a 3 credit hour graduate level course. We oftentimes do get asked about scholarships. We are limited on scholarships due to really just kind of the hybrid nature of the program. But Global Campus offers scholarships, and we do always encourage students to apply for those scholarships. And then there are some national scholarships that some of our students qualify for. And of course, we always send that information out once we are aware of it. The next question I get asked the most, are there waivers for the GRE or the GMAT? And the answer is unfortunately no. Everyone is required to take that one of those tests. We are allowing the online version, so if that's easier for you, that is completely fine. We have the website listed there where you can apply. And then at the bottom of this page, my email online at KSU, that's Global Campus email. And then at the very bottom is, Dr. C, do you mind going to that page, just our grad school? Yeah, really quick. So I just wanted to point this out. Uh-oh.
I'm failing, Tiara.
Okay, that's okay. Tell me if you want me to share my screen.
I will.
Okay, there we go. So if you look at the left-hand side in the gray box, the menu box, you'll see doctoral. And here is where you can see the courses that are required, cost of the program, frequently asked questions, but most importantly is the admission part. So in the admission page, this is going to tell you everything that you need to do to apply to the program. And it's all completed through the CollegeNet system with the graduate school. But this is where you find out everything that you need to do to submit to be considered for the program. Okay. Okay, so if you're ready to apply, we are here to help. So definitely check out how to apply. And again, go to our page for more information. Shoot me an email if you have more questions that are specific to the program. And we are happy to help, answer any questions that we can.
So I think we're now at the stage where if you have questions, we would love to take them. I think we're largely caught up in the chat, and that may have been to Tiara's detriment as I was multitasking, but we welcome any other questions.
That's amazing. That means we did a great job.
Or we scared them.
Yeah, one of the two. That's true.
Vanessa, do you have your hand up?
Another thing that I might mention, it's not up there right now, but we just recently moved to a new website. But typically we do have our past and current students listed on our website, and it will kind of tell you what they are working on, what their interests are. And so do keep checking back. Maybe you're somebody that's interested to perhaps start the program in a couple of years, not necessarily right away. Totally fine, because you do have to plan for these things. And so, if you're curious, just every once in a while, come back and check it out, and you'll see some of our current and past students and what they're doing.
This is Vanessa. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Thank you so much. I was just curious to know if you have some sort of information on professional backgrounds, like what that makeup generally looks like. I was looking on the website to see, like, for example, I'm a CPA, but I have a retirement planning background. I'd just be curious to see, like, what the other cohorts are made of.
Yeah, Tiara, do we have those cohorts up, or are we still getting that? Up?
They're not on the website yet.
Cool. So roughly speaking, honestly, it completely varies. We've had some cohorts which, where 6 out of 8 are teaching faculty at universities. And then we've had some cohorts where 7 out of 8 are practitioners. And that can range from solo practitioners to folks at large wirehouses to people, directors of financial planning at large firms. And I would say, we have a number of CPAs that'll rotate through. And we're not looking for a specific profile to enter. Once again, we're looking at, do you have the mindset and the skills to succeed? And then are you interested in something that we can support? So nothing that you said would scare me at all in terms of your background being appropriate for the program. It would just depend on, sort of those other criteria that I shared.
And we do have students that have master's degrees in a wide range of things. So it doesn't have to be one specific thing. I mean, we have JDs, we have MBAs, we have masters of PFP, and from another school, we have other business type degrees, economics. We have, like you said, CPAs, accountants. So the type of degree, isn't, as long as it's related, in some way or another. It doesn't have to be a certain thing.
And it's also the case, if you don't have the CFP, there may be some additional coursework that you need to take, and that's something Tiara could finalize with you. I'm going to unmute Karam.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. Just had a quick question in regards to cohorts. and people are able to transfer credits in, and you mentioned some people can graduate in 3.5 years versus 4. So how does that work? Is it just let's say someone with a quant background can skip the stat classes, but they will continue to be with their cohort otherwise? Could you provide some color there? Thank you so much.
Yeah, great question. So the PhD is technically a 90-hour degree, and what typically will get transferred in is if you have a master's degree, and that will replace 30 credit hours that are sort of your elective track. So the core research, statistics, methods, theory classes, everybody takes, and you'll be with the same cohorts throughout. So there's no waiving the core research classes at all. Where things get transferred in would be associated with having a master's degree and or having the CFP marks or the CFP education on the back end. Related to 3.5 years there. So the trick is that you finish coursework in 2.5 years. And after that 2.5 year mark, it's in students' hands how quickly they take and pass comprehensive exams, how quickly they propose for the dissertation, and how quickly they graduate. So the variation from 3.5 to 4.5 is not based off of necessarily coursework progression. It's based off of, hey, once you're done with coursework, how quickly do you want to get through with that? So Ben, there's a little bit of nuance there. So to transfer in 30 credit hours, you do have to have a master's degree. And we also do require that individuals have had the CFP coursework or hold the CFP marks. So there would be, and Tiara, maybe you want to provide some clarity around that. But it is possible if you have both, you can transfer in 30 hours. If you only have a master's and without a CFP, we will require that you take the CFP content, although it may be some of that content can transfer in on a class-to-class basis for those 18 hours for the CFP. But Tiara, am I 95% right at least?
Yes, and we do realize that there are some people that have challenge status, so CPAs, JDs, those types of things. So, but as a program, we have to make sure that you understand obviously the personal financial planning content core courses. And so there are situations where you have a master's degree and you're a CPA and you decide that you're going to go ahead and take the challenge status and sit for the exam. If you pass the exam and then we know you've had that content, you're down pat for that, you've got your master's degree, and that will transfer in nicely. Where it gets a little sticky is if you're a CPA, you have a master's and you don't want to sit for that exam yet, then sometimes those students choose to take some of the courses or perhaps all of them until they are able to sit for that exam. But essentially, at the end of the program, we have to make sure that you've either passed the CFP exam or that you've at least had all of the content courses. So if you're looking at our website and you go to our, the course catalog, essentially, the two categories that Dr. C was mentioning, the top two research courses and professional courses, those are the required courses to be taken at K-State. The supporting core content and the elective courses are where we can work with the transfer credits. Just if you're wanting to get that specific with it, that's kind of how that works. But again, if you're a JD and you plan to sit for the exam anyways, mid-program, say, you do that, you pass the exam, then obviously your degree will transfer in and cover those two areas, even though it's not a match for match, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so Andrew, I think CPA PFS, we need to have a conversation with you. I think you have really good background. We actually, I don't think have dealt with that combination, which is a very strong combination. It might be, and I'm saying this in a recorded format, this is just a thought. It may be that we just have you take the capstone class, but that's something that we would have to figure out later. We try to be reasonable in making students do what we're actually trying to get out of them, as opposed to making students jump through painful hoops. And then related to Ben, so yeah, Ben, if you just did the graduate certificate program, likely what would happen is you would transfer in the 18 credit hours from the CFP. But unless you have 12 credit hours of additional coursework, you would have to fill those 12. But Tiara would be glad to do a preliminary review and show you what that transfer in would look like. Brittany, I will let you answer Frederick via chat. You're probably the best set to do that related to what all transcripts would be required. So Tanya, you know, I just did the diversity of our master's and undergraduate program. I don't have that off the top of my head related to our PhD program. At our master's and undergraduate program, we're 46% female and 19% non-white. As you might know, in the industry, it's 23% of CFPs are female and 3% are 3.5% are non-white. So we're significantly above industry averages, and that is an intention for us is to make sure we're having a diverse population. I believe, and Tiara, I'll look at you, that our PhD program is probably consistent with that in gender and maybe even more diverse from a racial perspective. Does that sound right, Tiara?
I would say yes, definitely close. I can give an example. Our cohort that just started this summer, 5 are female and 3 are non-white. 3 are, or actually 4 are non-white out of 7. So that's our cohort that started this summer. So.
Yep. And Tanya, if you need more specifics, you can email me and glad to give you that, but hopefully that gives you close enough to the spirit of the answer, if not the precise answer. We're down to 2 minutes. So any last questions before Brittany cracks the whip and closes this up? I've got a question about the average GRE score for the admitted doctoral students. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what the average is, part of it because some do GRE and some do GMAT, but that's just one piece of information for us that we consider. It is not something that is overly weighted. So what I always say is go and do your best. Now, part of it, fully transparent, is if a student's not willing to go take the GRE or GMAT, they're probably not going to be able to make the full commitment for the PhD. So a little bit of that is trying to understand if a student is actually committed to this process. And a part of that is specifically related to the writing skills. I do like to see if there is some strength there, but we have seen students with good scores not do so well, and students with maybe not so hot scores do very well in the program related to work ethic. And that's partly why we have that writing that writing component that we assess a lot there. And Tiara, what's the next step before we're going to Brittany?
So the next steps would be to make sure you have all your questions answered about the program. Feel free to reach out to me. If I need to send you to Dr. Heckman or Dr. C, I can certainly do that. But definitely get all your questions answered and then apply to the program. We're excited to see your applications coming through.
Well, thank you, Tiara and Dr. C, for that wonderful presentation and answering everyone's questions. I also want to thank everyone for being here with us tonight. If you're ready to apply, please visit our website and you can receive detailed instructions on how to do so. As a reminder, everyone who is registered for this webinar will receive a recording via email as soon as it's available. And like Tiara said, if you have additional questions that you'd like answered before you apply, feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you out. Otherwise, have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, everyone.